Hello everyone and welcome to this new ALIS instruction video. Today we would like to talk about advisories. Advisories is something new introduced at the end of 2020, and it's all about finding the important things on your airport. So we get a lot of data gathered in ALIS, and it's all about finding the important things within that big cloud lake of data that we have in ALIS. So we're going to go through to the different advisories that we have prepared for you and see how we can change those settings and make good use of them. So here we have again our Malmö airport, ADB SafeGate in Sweden, and we're going to use it to illustrate the advisories that we have. So first, let's have a look at the different settings and different type of advisories that we have. So in our settings, advisory settings, you will see the different rules that we have already prepared for you in ALIS. So over time, we will also add new rules and maybe also make them better over time. So feel free to explore each and every one of them. We have some that are about photometric or asset status, maintenance status. So we're going to take out just one for today, and it's going to be failed assets. So let's have a look. So when a certain amount of assets have failed, we'll get an advisory that, hey, maybe you should watch out because more than 10% of your assets have actually failed. So you see that for each rule, there's an ignore and a show option, whether you want to ignore the rule or whether you want to show it or not on the map. And in the actions, you can change the settings. So for example, here you have a threshold from which percentage of failed assets on your instance you would like to have an advisory. So right now it's set at 8%, and you can easily change it to any other percent. So then you can save that, and you can see that for, you can do that for any other of the rules. So for example, here we even have an illumination trend on photometrics. So if we see that there's a certain degradation of photometric of your assets, we can say that, look, we see that you have a very strong degradation of your illumination over time for this group of assets. So we might want to inform you about that you have to say, look, I have to start ordering new lights, or I have to make refurbishment on them to make sure that your airport stays optimal. So now that we have our failed asset rate, let's have a look on our map. And here we see that we have, for example, already 4 failed assets in our instance. So in total, we have around 41 assets. So 10% of that, or starting from 10%, is whenever we would have 5 failed assets, we would have an advisory for it. So right now we already have one advisory active, and that's an advisory on the maintenance. So you see that we have quite some red in our instance, and that's telling us that, look, more than 5% of your assets are actually overdue, and that those are red assets. So we already have one. I will just say, look, we read this advisory, and now let's take another light, and let's say that inspection find this one as faulty. So we'll mark it faulty. And so the moment that we're going to mark it faulty, another advisory that came up. So whenever the advisory is not selected, you see that now we have a badge that says 1. And whenever you select it, you will see that, look, we have an asset status issue. So that has a high impact because obviously having too many failed lights is not good. And it will tell you, look, more than 10% of your assets are having a failure state. We pair the assets and mark them as non-faulty or have them flagged as non-faulty. And now it's really easy to filter out exactly those lights that are failed. So we see these 5 failed lights. we can now easily select all these failed lights, create a work order to say, look, I want to have these assets replaced. And whenever that will be performed, the assets will not be failed anymore. Another great feature that we have for the advisories, and you might have noticed that whenever I push the filter button for this advisory, is that we have a badge in the filters, and that we actually have a filter for the advisories. So you see that here on asset status advisories, we have the failed assets rate that is highlighted. So even when not using directly the advisories badge or filter here, you can immediately filter for advisories that are active from the map, from the filter section. So that also allows you to filter out the assets that we want to highlight to you, where something's going on. So we think that these advisories are really powerful in finding out the different things that are happening on your airport. So feel free to explore the different types of rules that we already incorporated with it. And we hope that will really help you to mitigate the risk and take care of the things that are really important on your airport. If you have any other questions or need any support on it, feel free to create a ticket on our service desk. Thank you for watching, and see you in another one.